but every day I wasted my day. Every day. Every day I wasted my day. I went to Starbucks, and in Las Vegas at the time, I went to Starbucks almost every day, and I would pop open my computer and I'd work, and really I'd get nothing accomplished. Although some days I'd have very inspiring conversations, and those inspiring conversations would make me feel like the world was all coming together and this thing called my business was going to do something. I don't know if any of you guys can relate, but I really just every day it was like I was doing a punch hole on my life, the days of my life. And long story short, I ended up hiring a coach. And when I hired the coach, my coach left me sitting in the Starbucks because she finally fired me. So I'm just telling y'all, if this girl from Vancouver, Canada, who was deathly afraid of not only success, but I was so afraid of rejection at such a high level. Like, I don't think I knew that. I didn't have it pegged like that, but I just never did what it took, and I never followed through. And to have a coach fire me, that was like my version of rock bottom, because rejection was my issue. And so even the person I was paying that I couldn't afford to pay left my tushy in a Starbucks. It really woke me up that it was time to change. Does that make sense? So this week we are talking about 5 different ways to generate revenue. And I thought it was really timely for the end of January, because we could do a quick check-in. How are you doing with your first month of the year monthly goals? Are you hitting it, yes or no? Don't say I'm proud of myself. Are you hitting it, yes or no? Go in the chat, yes or no. Just put yes or no. And it's totally, I have zero judgment on what it is, right? There's a no if you're not on point to hit it. It's not like I'm almost there. No, like are we there? Like, are we on track? And so you guys are putting no's. The power of that is so much can happen in the last week and a half of the month. Okay, so don't count yourself out. I will tell you, more times than not, I have found that my year-long goals I could do inside of 2 months. Now, I don't know if that's going to be you, but it's not because I'm so great at taking action. It's because so often my habit is to pick goals that I know is already within my leadership. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know if I could just focus on it, I could create that result. And so it's a big aha for me that almost always I pick goals that I could do in 2 or 3 months in the whole year. Isn't that wild? It's wild to me. So I share that with you because I know almost all of you guys could hit your first monthly goals now. So what I wanted to talk about this week is 5 different revenue plans, or 5 different revenue ideas, really, to be able to get this. Really, main focus is to get you to focus on which one or what parts of these over the next 5 days actually works for you, or you could grab a hold of it and implement. You guys excited about that? Put yes if you are, okay? And so today I'm gonna push on your pricing. Okay, I'm going to push on your pricing models. So if you don't have a pricing model, and by the way, if you're a church or a nonprofit, you just adapt this into your world. Okay, so like, what's the normal tithe to the church? Like, you look at someone like Joel Osteen, he learned how to speak. You guys know that he practices his sermons. Do you know that? He practices his sermons. Another mega church leader, I asked him once if he could actually show me how to do a sermon, because a sermon is just a talk, right? It's just a talk to save your soul versus a talk to coach you, or a talk to, buy life insurance, or whatever that looks like. It's a well-crafted talk. And so many people don't learn how to lead an audience, keyword lead. And so they just go up there and they throw spaghetti up against the wall. And because it's important, they think other people should think it's important. Our job is to learn how to present in a way that we can move an audience, whether it's a church, a nonprofit, a wealth advisory firm, a coaching, trauma, whatever it is, teachers. Like, I just don't buy this whole thing like your students are out of control. No, you got to learn how to lead them. Do you know what I mean? Like, I could directly tell you, I've got one teacher who has a hard time leading one. I have another teacher who could lead a lot more, right? Same child involved, mine, right? And I can see the difference between a teacher who can speak to him in a way that he respects it and he falls into suit and is completely respectful. And then there's other teachers that he is not respectful and he runs around the table and jokes with them and hugs them and kisses them, but will not sit down and work, right? So when I hear stuff like that, when I apply that to revenue, I started to realize that I was the common denominator for revenue, and if I was gonna help more people, I was gonna need to make more. So we've designed content this week for 5 different revenue challenges to really challenge you to look at. They will not all apply to you, obviously, but they could jog a future something for you. Does that make sense? So it's a great week to pay attention. I will be here today and tomorrow, and then after that, I am getting laser done on my skin. Yes, I am. So, and I'm not going to stand up here and say that I'm not. I'm going to go get a laser. I'm flying a girl in from Miami, and I have like, I don't know, 5 of my friends doing it too. And so we're getting lasers, so I'm not going to look so pretty for a few days. I should just pop on just not looking pretty. But I'm going to look crazy. That's why I'm not coming back. So I did from a leadership perspective still design the content for you guys. Okay, sound good? Yes? Okay, so I want to push on pricing, and I'm going to use my little board here to kind of draw this out a little bit. And drop it. Okay, so when I look at pricing, and this is going to be kind of fluid, so I'm just going to teach it as if we were just talking on a phone call together. If you could have a piece of paper, it's great because you can kind of play around. Everything is leadership, but everything is math too. Do you know what I mean? Like you can see how if you push in a certain direction, you'll get a different reaction. So when I'm looking at, actually, let's see if I can pull up a calculator here. Okay, so how many of you guys want to start a membership site? Like you just feel a calling for that. Just put an M in the chat so I can see. Put an M in the chat so I can see. How many of you guys want to start a membership site? Okay, so you guys who are putting an M in the chat for membership site, can you guys let me know what's your idea of what you're going to sell it for? I love the way this is kind of unfolding. What do you want to sell it for? Like what price point do you want to sell it for? What do you see? 250, 150, 97, 30, 49, 47, 55. Okay, so there's kind of a bunch of you guys in tripwire pricing, which I would say $30 or below, 30, 49, kind of playing around that area. And then 250, 150, that's some serious cash can be made there without volume. Okay, so what did I just say? Well, if you've got, how many of you guys have volume? Well, first of all, before I even ask you that, why'd you pick your price? Why'd you pick your price? I want you to pay attention to this. Be honest in the chat. Why did you pick, for you guys who are doing a membership, why'd you pick your price? Why'd you pick the price that you're pricing at? Based upon monthly, I want it to be affordable. I've heard you say it. 55 is numerology for transformation. Affordable for other people. Psychology value. Cash flow, affordability. Okay, so notice the mindsets, right? Because I always say our mindset's going to dictate, like our thoughts are going to dictate our action. So nobody really said data. Right? So nobody actually said, well, I studied, like I want to create this result in the world and I studied what is price points that help me get there. Does that make sense? Like nobody did that. It was all based off feelings. And feelings are connected to your thoughts and your emotions and what you believe. Okay, so you need to know that about yourself. So that's the same with your buyers. Okay, so people buy off feelings. They don't buy off your content. They don't. They don't buy off how many times you talk to them. They stay because of those reasons. Okay? Why does a church explode? Because the guy or the woman up at the front is speaking in a way about content that's relevant, right? Why does a coaching platform explode? Same thing. Why does somebody that sells real estate get more leads than they can handle? Same thing. The way they talk about the product, the way they talk about the result, not the product. Make sense? So the way that you talk about benefits. So true story. So I don't know if you guys know this. I wish I had them out there for sale for you. I really wish I did, but I don't. But I will get my stuff together. It just hasn't been a big priority. But I use my runway journal at Heartcore. I developed a journal that literally is an agenda, and it talks about what's most important, what's my to-do, what's my schedule, what are the 3 things that I'm getting done this week, and my priority focus time. And that's how I'm getting those things done. My priority focus time is really my work. Everything else is reactional. One of the things that's also really important to me with my life is that my family has like meetings. And one of the meetings that I want is at least 15 minutes a day where we talk about scripture. So it's been very random in our life, right? Like everybody kind of does their own thing in this area of our spirituality, but we don't do it together. My vision is to do it together because, and if you think about what I'm doing inside of Hardcore Business, you may or may not know this, but I'm going to scale it really fast this year, right? I've got my funnels in place. I've got like a great coaching department. I've got a really strong, communication department, admin department. My accounting department is really showing up nicely. And then I have my original COO back in the saddle. So Denise is back running my company, and the chemistry of that team is undeniably really powerful. So heard the word team. Well, I want the team behind closed doors, like my family, to be even better. I have realized that the team makes a huge difference. That's been one of my biggest lessons in the last 2 years. It makes the biggest difference in the world. You can have an all-star kicker or quarterback for a team, and if they're not in the right team that fits the chemistry, that person cannot knock it out of the park. Does that make sense? Like that person will look like subpar because the team will start telling them what they should do. Meanwhile, they need to run their play and be supported by their team. Does that make sense? And so we have some original team players back. Gome, who's our original chief marketing officer, love this man. He's back in the saddle. Denise is back in the saddle. And I'm just super comfortable and super ready to run. Does that make sense? So I share this with you because I need my team at home. So we sit down. I don't know if this is boring you, but just kind of, I promise you I'll get to these numbers, but it's important because everything comes from vision. I talk about that all the time. Before you start running your plays, you got to look, before you start running your pricing, you need to look at what the vision is first. And that's why I asked if people who want to start a membership, I'm not just going to talk about memberships, but who want to start a membership, what's your price point? And then why'd you pick that? And none of it was connected to vision and none of it was connected to data, which makes sense because none of your answers were connected to vision. They were all in the head of logic. Every single one that I've read. Okay. And so I have a vision to scale my life. And I know that the team at home must really be on the same page. Otherwise, there's nothing worse than home being a mess. Not that mine's a mess, but my house is, because it's not finished with construction, right? But my team at home is not as tight as it could be. And so I sit down to do this scripture study with them. And my son's like, hugging the dog, like laying on the side of the chair. You guys know, right? So I want you to know that I did not get mad. And my husband almost did, but he did get mad. But I had 2 of them that were kind of both like this, like, really, we have to do this, right? And then my husband shifted, and then my son shifted, which always happens. And then we had a great conversation about what we just read. And so, but at least 3 times, it took 30 minutes, it was supposed to take 15. And at least 3 times in our sit down at the table, I wanted to get up and throw the book at them because I'm human. And all I kept thinking about, I mean, I probably wouldn't have thrown the book at them, but I wanted to just go take a shower and get on with my day. Do you know what I mean? I'd been up since 4, I already did my work. Now I'm trying to do something good for the family. And I wanted to be a full-blown martyr. Like I wanted to, trust me. But I knew the chances of getting them back to the table, ladies who are martyrs, right? That do a lot and let everybody know that you do a lot, right? Or men, I knew it would be harder to get them back to the table. And so I was connected to my vision, which allowed me to keep in the saddle. Okay. And we have a meeting tomorrow, and I think we're going to be better tomorrow. But the first thing that I started out with was, what are the benefits of us doing this together? And my bad attitude men, they would laugh right now, but they were, okay, let's go. Let's talk about the benefits, right? Like that type of scenario. Finally, through talking about the benefits, it shifted us. Okay. So when you're looking at your pricing, I want you to think about vision before you think about how much you're getting paid, or maybe that's part of your vision, right? Maybe right now, part of your vision is like, I want to see X amount of dollars. Okay, so then pricing is going to be in that vision. Does that make sense, you guys? So I want you to start with vision. So membership sites are amazing. I put member. But I don't often recommend them for people who are just getting started in business or nonprofit or ministry or whatever. Why? Because usually, not always, so there's always exceptions to the rule. Usually, when somebody's getting started, they need cash. Make sense? Whatever it is. They need cash to keep the lights on. They need cash to hire people. They need cash. Membership can bring you cash, but honestly, it really needs to be somewhere, really, I would say 250 a month. Okay? If it's, I think I put, let me see. If I did, let's say, $47, how many people do you think you can get into a membership in a month? For real, like don't give me the BS number. I mean, like if I told you that you needed to start a membership next week, right? Okay, 20 people, 5 people, 5 people. Okay, so on Zoom, whatever, 10, 4. Okay, so look at your numbers, right? So if I did $47 a month and I could get, let's see here. What are some of your numbers? So if I did 47 a month and I could get, let's say 25 people into it, then that would mean I would make $11.75, right? If I got 25 people into it. Can I live off that? No, you can't live off that, right? Like you cannot live off that. And so when you're thinking vision and you're thinking strategy, I want you to watch out for the hair on my arms is standing up and I'm so excited to do this. I'm called to do it. If you're called to do it, awesome. Build your business appropriately with the right priorities. Okay, like, because you could build into this in the second half of the year. You could cross-sell this, to a higher ticket price. But it really does, pricing comes down to strategy. It doesn't come down to what people can pay for you. I don't buy that, because if I was teaching the second half to pricing, I would say it's about, if you want somebody to pay for something, it's about building the package. A lot of times people think that an audience can only afford X. And in some cases, like massive poverty, okay. But in most cases, it comes down to, I don't know, like I think I asked this question last week. How many of you guys have purchased something that you couldn't afford? Right? Put a dollar symbol in the chat. If you've purchased something that you couldn't afford, put a dollar symbol in the chat. Boy, did that chat just move. Right? And so why did you do that? There was value there, which means whatever was included in the price made that move. And so whatever you sell, whatever price point you want to sell at, if you want to justify the price, keep adding to it until you think it is a ridiculous deal. Does that make sense? Yes? So like I'm a coach, so I like doing 20-minute bonuses. I add something for 20 minutes and they get it. and then it cuts off. If I was selling this microphone for your phone, I might add you know, 6 different videos on how to create audio that goes viral. If I was selling, you know, a Bible study, or I was like, I think if you're going to a church, you're not tithing, you're ripping yourself off, right? Because if money controls you, that's a tough one to get out from underneath, right? And so, you know, there's things that they could add, like everybody who steps up tithing, right, and really trusts God, what could you add, right? Like what could you add? It's not intuitive, but like, who does that? Joel Osteen, TD Jakes. Oh, but the regular church can't do that because it feels, well, while you're doing that, TD Jakes and Joel Osteen are adding audiobooks, courses, Bible studies, conferences, all with your tithe. Mugs. I have so many mugs from Joel Osteen for tithes that I did, right? And I love them. I love them. They motivate me. They inspire me all the time, right? What could you do if you were like a life coach? Maybe you get mugs. It's wild what people will do. But like when I did mugs that were designed that when you looked at them, they reminded you to manage your mind. And so I didn't just give mugs as a bonus. I gave mugs that had a purpose. Are you guys hearing me? Are you guys getting this? Okay, so you can't just sit here. You got to think, what could you do? So I love membership, but if it's low price point, you need volume. And if you don't either have money or a good list, right? A good list, then you're putting yourself in a very dangerous position. And you guys, I will be teaching list building. How many of you guys need list building? Put list in the chat right now. How many of you guys know you need list building? Put list in the chat right now. So on February 5th, 6th, and 7th, it'll be virtual. I'm going to teach the first list building course of the year. It takes about 60 days to 90 days for you to have a list. You could go to Retire Me Shanda, Shanda. Somebody put it in the chat. RetireMeShanda.com. And you can get access to that program for probably less right now than you pay for coffee in a month. Okay, really, truly. And if you don't have a list, you better have a good amount of money. Okay, whether you're in network marketing, whether you're in car salesman, prospecting gets easier when I can message this list on a daily basis. Think about this on-demand show. Do you think, I'm not saying you have to do something like this, but like if you just sent a motivational quote every day to your list, they would be opening up your emails, thankful that they were getting it from you. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Like, it's not as hard as you think to maintain a relationship with the list. It's actually easier than many of you guys do with your own families and friends. Because you could literally send a quote every day or a prayer every day or something like this where you're actually giving on a regular basis and help them. And when you do that, this list becomes very profitable and will feed into that. If you don't have that handled and you're in any sort of business, I'm telling you, go to retiremeshanda.com. Don't waste your time on studying how to speak from a stage or how to create content or how to do your signature talk. Be very, very cautious about that, because all of that requires you to get on a plane or get in your car and go somewhere. And I'm telling you, a virtual ability to help people is very much stronger than my followers on Instagram, YouTube, or any of those places, although they're great. The revenue that we create off of those channels are not even close to what we can do in a day on our list. Does that make sense, you guys? So now what about this 250? Okay, how many of you guys are starting to think? How many of you guys are starting to think right now? If I had an offer, a reoccurring offer for $250 a month, and I could put 10 people in it, then I would have 10 people, right? I would have $2,500 a month, reoccurring. If I did that, let's call it 4 times, and I was willing to really work for 4 months, this would turn into 10,000 a month. Okay. Now, with most membership sites, people attrition out in 90 days, unless you give daily content. Call it a daily connection, a daily content. If you can get yourself, either you or hire a content creator that can extract from you, but you must, if you don't want as much attrition, I'm telling you, like my friends you might not have a vision for $100 million business, but it's only because you don't have a vision for it. It's not because you're not capable of it. It is honestly, I'm giving you the model. Everybody that I know that's over the $20 to $25 million a year mark, they have some version of this. They have some version of this. A lot of them, a good portion of them. They have a subscription base. If you're in network marketing, you have a subscription base. That's why you realize when you join network marketing, you have a low income, and then it builds to a high freedom income. Are you guys following me here? So whether it's in ministry, in network marketing, in coaching, whatever it looks like, this is an incredible model to put in at some point. Maybe now, maybe in a couple months, maybe at the end of the year, but you need to ask yourself, when you look at this, it really comes down to, what is your leadership? In other words, what can you handle? Right? What can you handle? Your leadership is what you can handle. So what can you handle? If you need money, this is not going to be a great deal for you, especially if you have to deliver content every single day, or Monday through Friday, or 7 days a week. That alone for some of you guys is just a huge stretch. Does that make sense? Even with AI, what you just have a block in your vision around it. But I'm telling you, your leadership gets strong when you look at a calendar. If you can go to a calendar and take all your problems on doing either of these side, like in other words, write down, like, I can't create daily content. I don't know what I would put, or I'm not really good at sales, or I have no leads. Then go to February 5th, 6th, and 7th, retiremeshanda.com. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, but go to a calendar and solve your problem and put it on the calendar. I'm a big fan on priority focus time. This is empty right now, which is a really bad representation. But on my agendas, I put priority focus time, right? And so I know what I'm working on during that priority focus time. And for me this morning, it was a lot of planning and doing stuff like that. So it's not on here, right? But it's what am I completing in my priority focus time? So all your problems can be solved, honestly, by creating white space on your calendar to work on them. So could you imagine if once a week for 90 minutes, you created 5 pieces of content in 90 minutes? You could do that and be done. Well, what if I did 2 90-minute spots and I got 2 weeks ahead? What if it ends up taking you 30 minutes or 45 minutes versus 90 minutes by the time you get to the 3rd week, because now it's in your wheelhouse, it's in your leadership? Well, now we've solved the problem. Does that make sense? So whenever I can't figure something out, I go to the calendar and I schedule space with myself to work on it. And I don't just work on it, I get a result. I set a target that I'm going to figure out how to deliver 5 pieces of content in this priority focus time. Or I'm going to figure out, what topics I'm going to do, because I can't think about the topics in this spot. Do you guys get what I'm saying? I'm going to do sales calls during this priority focus time every single day, no matter what. That's going to be my sales time, right? Until I hire a salesperson. Are you guys following me here? Yes, no, maybe so. Is this helpful at all? So I really believe that success comes down to the way we lead our thoughts and the way we manage our emotions. And if we can manage our emotions, the things that feel like they're so out there, they get calendared, and then you use that space to solve the problems. I just don't believe that any problem that you have, you can't figure it out. I've just never seen it. I've seen people throw temper tantrums. I've seen people be resistant. I've seen people be busy. I've seen people just drive their lives off a cliff because they're so afraid of succeeding or so afraid of failing or rejection that they just won't go to the calendar, and the problems never get put on the calendar to figure out. And so therefore it becomes a prophecy of death. You know what I mean? Like that project or idea just goes to the grave. Make sense? So I'm a really big fan of this. Now I'm going to flip to this for a second. When somebody's looking at cash, okay, so if you're in network marketing, that's recruiting, right? If you recruit, you make cash, right? Like that's what happens there. If you have no leads, right? If you have no leads, none of you have cash, whether you're network marketing, coaching, real estate, you've got a church, you're a content creator, I don't know what whatever it is you are, a teacher, like doing home study, homeschool stuff. Like, it's wild to me how many people I can get on an interview for interviewing to be a homeschool teacher. I'm like, they should be running a course on homeschooling. Do you know what I mean? Online, they should build a leads list. And they should literally help that leads list homeschool, and then make a second offer that says, do you want me or my homeschool teachers to do it for you? I mean, I just took do you guys follow that? If you control the leads, you control everything. You control everything. Everything is about people. When I say leads, it's kind of a non-emotional way of saying your tribe, your people. If that's not a main focus, I'm telling you, it's always my main focus. Always, every single week, almost every single week. It is my focus to generate more leads. Always. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? It's not, oops, I didn't list build. Never. And the reason why is that is my lifeline, other than God, and it is yours too when it comes to business. Okay, like that is your lifeline. If you have a deficit here, you can probably just bet that you're either going to hustle a lot, doing crazy little things on Instagram like dancing. Just kidding. But I joke, I have lots of friends who do great Instagram accounts and stuff like that doing that. But like the amount of work it takes to hustle a lot without having a good relationship with the list is more than I want to do at this level of my career. Okay, there's just not enough results for me there. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I need cash. And so whether I'm in a coaching company, network marketing, whatever it is, I'm in both. Right? Whatever it is, I need to be able to generate partnerships, clients, whatever, quickly so I can chunk my time. Does that make sense? Do you guys get that? I would really recommend that you look at your strategy this year and say, are you hustling a lot? Or, which there's nothing wrong with that. Or are you doing it efficiently? Does that make sense? So do you know why I never hit the speaker circuit? Because I never wanted to turn back and say I missed my kid. Now, maybe if I didn't have a child, it might be different. Does that make sense? I probably would have went that route. After I got good at speaking and I felt comfortable at it, I then enjoyed it a lot, right? And so I love it. But I also don't love being on planes. I don't love the EMF on planes. You guys can see I'm crazy about these things, right? So it just doesn't work for me. Make sense? So I like to be at home. And I like to be able to do a Zoom call and have 100 or 1,000. If I want 1,000, I can put 1,000 on the Zoom call. Okay, like I can do that. I have the ability to do that. Okay, I've done it many, many times. I could do it in a couple hours from here, because I've set my life up to win that way. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? I'm just trying to urge you to know what your priorities are. My priorities are my family. My priority is like my grandkids. My priority is that, you know, my old age. My priority is my clients. I mean, I was crying the other day because the duck got hit by a car that follows us everywhere yesterday. And I was crying because I wasn't out with the duck. Like, I like to be present with my life. I know that sounds wild, but I do. I like to be present with my life. And I want to generate as much cash as I can from home. So when you look at cash, it needs to be cash injections mean that for anybody consulting, any sort of VIP experience where it's got a one-on-one factor, it's going to be valued at a higher dollar amount. You could add 30, 60, 90 days of accountability to the back end of those things, and you will have a higher close ratio. Make sense? So anything that, pods, I started pod coaching a few years ago where we put anywhere between 4 and 6 people in a pod. What does that do? It raises the hourly rate and it raises the results of the clients we teach. Do you know how resistant? I know you guys can be honest right now. Have you ever been so resistant that nobody could talk you into moving? Any of you guys? Seriously, have you ever been so resistant? Like somebody told you a million times you need to leave that relationship, but you still stayed in it. And then you got burnt, right? Or you knew you need to have a conversation with someone and you just didn't do it and then they stole from you. Or you know what I mean? Or they cheated on you or whatever that, like, right? Like there are red flags all over the place in our lives. And many of us don't listen to the red flags. We wait till we get burnt by the fire, right? Happens to all of us. We're human. So that being said, when I started putting people in pods, which I learned from my leadership training, I was like, how's my leadership training getting 99% success rate? Like, how are people going through that training, setting any goal they want? And 99% of our clients in the last 3.5 years, 4 years, have gotten their results. Like, you can't make those numbers up. They are tracked. Everybody's in a HIPAA folder with their secrets and their this and their that I've never been in. It's locked, right? But we track them. And so you cannot graduate from the leadership program unless you hit your big audacious goal that our clients pick. So I have no ability to pick them. They pick them. 99% success rate. I'm like, why am I not getting that in my business coaching side? Right? Like, why am I not getting that? Like, my leadership has employees, contractors, and volunteers. And then my business side, it is high overhead with all the people that I pay and pay well, right? I'm not even close getting the same results as we're getting in hardcore leadership, right? And I realized, I bet it's the pods. And so I changed one-on-one, which has your highest cash value, and I went to pods. And I still got high cash value because if I have 4 to 6 people in one group, then I get revenue off 4 to 6 people. Does that make sense? But they got better results that way. So now when they get better results, what do you think that does? Pods just means small group, Jen. Small group, 4 to 6 people, coaching with a coach twice a month. I'm just giving you ideas, right? So I put people together on a Zoom call twice a month for 4 to 6 people. And if all 4 to 6 people, pretend they all pay you, let's say $1,000 a month, right? That means each person, you're getting $500 per call. If you have 4 of them on, you guys get it? If you have 4 of them on, then you put yourself in a position where you're making $2,000 an hour. Now, I'm not really making $2,000 an hour because I pay coaches and then I pay admin staff, then I pay an accounting department, right? So it doesn't really work out that way. But if it were me on it, I would be taking it all for myself. Does that make sense, you guys? Yes? So I'm going to end this live like this and just say, what is your pricing strategy? And if your pricing strategy is coming from, what you think people can afford, I want you to 86 that mindset today. And I want you to ask yourself, what can you add? Okay? What can you add to your packaging that would actually push up your pricing? Okay. And then you're going to see that this thing all comes together, but you've got to come through your vision before you go to your packaging and pricing. So don't go off for a $47 something or $99 a month something and you're broke and you have no list and you have no money or volume to be able, that would just be a bad strategy. You're going to spend all month or next 2 months just feeling defeated, thinking there's something wrong with you when there's nothing wrong with you. It really is, that's not the step you should be in. Right? Go charge $250, go charge $1,000, go charge $700, go and, oh, I can't do that. Well, then just go to the package. What am I giving for that? And you will see that this gap will start to come together and things will come together for you. And you will find that you'll have a great year. But it is coming to the end of January, currently when we're streaming. And the fact that we're coming to the end of January means it's time for you to really get convicted in your pricing, or to challenge the pricing you have right now so you don't spin your wheels and get frustrated in another 2 weeks or 30 days from now. Sound good? I'm sorry, Eva, I don't have a link for our planner. I need to do that. I don't even think that they have them available right now. So, but I promise you, I will bring it up to Denise and we will look for it. They're just so good though. They're amazing. I live by it. And another planner that's great, Shalene Johnson's planner is great, the Push Journal. It's not as great as this one, but I used hers when I didn't have this one, and it was quite good. So, there's enough room in the planet for more agendas. Now, I will say, does anybody, I don't know if anybody has a desire for like reoccurring passive income this year. And if you do, and you have an interest in this thing called Savvy that I'm doing, I'm going to give you a phone number. It is connected to an app on my phone, which means that I will personally get your message and I will message back and forth with you directly, me. I will do that. So you won't end up in my CRM system somewhere where somebody else is talking to you or get lost. I've had like 165 people reach out to me to literally come and join this network marketing company with me in the last 30 days. And I've probably only mentioned it like maybe 4 times. And what's crazy is that I am not in our CRM systems. And so I just am late to connect with you. And so I would like to close the gap on this a little bit. If you are somebody who's interested in joining me in Savvy, somebody write this phone number down and put it in the chats, okay? 619-304-5130. 619-304-5130. Shoot me a text. Put the word Savvy in it, that I'll know, and I will text message you back throughout today and tell you what we're doing over there. We are opening up Canada right now, which it will be explosive. If you've ever done network marketing before, when you're in at the very bottom, it goes viral, right? It goes nuts, like bat shit crazy. It goes nuts. And so that percolation is happening right now, right? I see Natasha, she's like, yes, I'm in, right? And so, it's going crazy right now. And literally it's just opening up for Canadians to be able to buy the product. And it's got collagen, it's got greens, it's got clothing, like Lululemon style clothing, but honestly nicer. And I don't say that because I'm in competition. I'm telling you, I wear their clothes all the time. So if you want to join us in that, shoot me a text to 619-304-5130. Put the word Savvy and I will communicate back with you. Okay. Everybody on social media, love you guys. So much love to you. I'm going to say goodbye to you guys and I'm going to go do some hot seat coaching with our on-demand group. All right.